Hello, everyone. Welcome to my weekly podcast. I hope everyone is staying safe during quarantine times, coronavirus times. We are reviewing our ninth album of the show. Hope you guys got to see the last review, which we did of Creed's Weathered album. And like I said, we on album reviewing season. And today we back on the video podcast, as you guys can see, and we're doing, sort of live podcast the way we always wanted to do the podcast, but because of COVID, we had to change it. But yeah, I have a guest again with me. It's my brother. We probably look very alike. You probably think it's the same person, but I have my brother. You probably remember him from the ASAP Rocky Long Live ASAP album review. And yeah, so we're doing this one. And I apologize for posting this a bit late. I was supposed to post this on Sunday, but yeah. we posting it today, and we're doing the African Giant Burna Boy album review. The much highly anticipated review, and a very, very interesting album. An album that it's sort of my first African album that I'm really listening to attentively, and it's really one that I felt I had to review in this 3 reviews that I'm doing for the alternative and pop album reviews. And African Giant is a great album, multi-award winning album, Grammy nominated, probably the first time a pop African album gets a Best World Music Grammy nomination, or maybe even any Grammy nomination. Yeah, would you say that? Probably is, no?
I'd have to check. Thanks for having me back. Firstly, it's good to be back. It's an interesting album. It's an interesting artist, so it should be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if it's the first. I think we have to check historical records, but it's not common. That should definitely be said.
Yeah, no, I tried looking at the Grammy nominations for world music, and it's usually more critic type music, African music, artists your Fela Kutis, your
critically acclaimed songs, artists and music.
African artists that got some international critical acclaim, but rarely you'd see a Davido or who else is pop? Yeah, Davido, Wizkid nominated for.
But I think it's the problem when people say, well, Grammys a lot. It's outdated. Sometimes it was outdated for most of the time, and perhaps now, some artists are getting a look in when they didn't get it in the past. I think the same we saw with hip hop music for a very long time. They didn't even televise the award for the best hip hop act of the year. So I think the times are changing, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely changing. Like you said, it is quite outdated, the Grammys, and some people don't even submit anymore, like your Drake's, right? Drake and Frank Ocean.
Frank the Great.
Don't submit. But yeah, this album is quite, some really good singles on it, I'm not a huge fan of Burna Boy. I have to say this. I'm not a big fan of Burna Boy. It's quite a long album, has 19 tracks. But it has been talked about a lot, so we still have to review it, even though it's a little bit long. So one question I want to ask you though is, what do you think of Burna Boy's music, and what do you think of the state of African music right now?
Yeah, with Burna Boy, I think the first introduction that I got to him, I don't know if it's the same case with you. I think it was a feature he had with AKA, the South African rapper. From Lagos to Cairo, if I'm not mistaken, the name of the song.
All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. Right.
All Eyes on Me, right? Did it? All robbery. All eyes. That song, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you can see, perhaps not the biggest fan of AKA's music. So I wasn't the biggest. I didn't know who it was, but I knew the voice, I knew the sound, and then I started hearing the name Burna Boy all over the place. Still didn't get into the music much, but recently, with the release of his latest album, Twice as Tall, it piqued my interest a little bit. So I'm like, who is this guy? He's African. You always feel you want to support, you want to listen to. So I started listening to his music. I listened to Twice as Tall, the album, which was decent. It had some songs I really like. But I started seeing his older singles, and I'm like, wow, there are some interesting songs, and I like what I hear. You know, it's it stands on its own. It is what it is, and I think there's enjoyment for what it is, and I do enjoy it. I think it's good at what it does.
And what do you think of the state of African music right now? Like, do you? I know you're not a big fan of African music.
I wouldn't say I'm not a big fan. You know, I
Mhm.
think to say I'm not a fan would be mean that I got exposed to it and then decided to be against it or not being a fan of it. With African music is I do like it. You know, I do like what I hear some of the time. Most of the time, I feel it's changing. And what Burna Boy did is what we saw with Davido and Wizkid. They started a movement for Afro beats that's so strong, and it goes across all borders. And he definitely pick up from that, and he's running further than probably they even did. So yeah, I think the state is good. I think the globalization in total of the world also helps. You know, with platforms like Apple Music giving you this endless catalog of music, Spotify and others, you do get out of your comfort zone of your listening habits, and then you do explore other music. Same thing we're seeing with film and drama and television with Netflix. You know, since more access means more exposure.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. No. And I think the spotlight right now is on African music in general. Like I think people are looking for something different to hear, something new to hear and see, right? Like visuals and music
Yeah. True.
and African music. But I have to say, like African music right now, if they don't take advantage of it, the artists, it's in its best state it has ever been in terms of global reach.
It is, and then
Yeah.
it's not just Afro beats. Even we're seeing actual South African, for example,
Mhm.
rappers and rap acts also getting noticed all overseas in America, going to talk shows and radio stations and getting more play. So they see Africa beyond just a place of potential, but a place that produces quality as well. And uh, Burna Boy is one of the main examples at the moment, and they do, and I agree completely with you. This is their chance. They have to take it and go with it.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so now we're gonna head straight to the podcast. What I'll do this time to make it shorter, because they're usually long as hell. I'll try and we're gonna talk with songs in batches and try to batch them like thematically in terms of the ideas of the tracks, and group them so you don't have to go through all 19 tracks individually. So it doesn't become too long. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys listen till the end. And yeah, let's get straight to the music. Okay, so the first track of the album is African Giant. This I didn't really group because I felt like album openers are essential. And yeah, and I wanted to know what you think. What do you think of this album opener?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it in the sense that it's more classic Afro beats. Not Afro beats as we call it today, the Afro fusion sound that's so popular. The Afro beat, the more classic, older 70s style. It doesn't have that modern sound to it. So I think it's a good entry to the album, And I don't know if you know how the name of the album came about, African Giant.
Yeah.
The Coachella,
The
I think,
Coachella
yeah,
name tag.
his name was like the smallest one, and and he felt a type of way, and I think artists do need that, and it's a big shout, but it's still humble in a way.
Okay. Shout how like him saying he wants his name to be bigger, or the song.
He's a giant, but then the song doesn't say that. It's just he's not trying to say I'm better than this and that. It's just like I'm who I am, but I am a giant in who I am. And how the album starts, and if this is the pace, you're like, he's not gonna shout it to you. You're gonna feel it through his music. That's what I kind of got from this
Yeah.
opening.
And I think you're right. No, I think you're perfectly right. I think the song basically just screams that like what they did with him in Coachella was very sort of, if you could say, unfair, because he has sort of become probably one of the biggest in terms of like global reach, in terms of just not like popularity but also like critically.
Yeah.
It's probably like the biggest African artist right now who can get the critics and the audience or pop audience to enjoy his music. So I think to have him in Coachella and him being probably the only African act, probably.
At the time, I think it was.
I think, yeah.
That moment.
At that moment, yeah, to be the only African act, but then to be like this small, is yeah, and I think he rightfully should call himself a giant, you know, because he's big in the African world. He might not be big in America, as like your Travis Scott or your Kanye West or whoever, but he is a giant in his own genre and his own continent.
Definitely.
And yeah, and I think the song is, and you make quite a valid point. Like the song is, it introduces you to the album and tells you that it's Afrobeat, but it's not like the modern Afrobeat. It's like it's gonna be a combination. It's gonna be a fusion of like, you know, of like modern and the old, and everything else, you know. And I think that's what makes his music quite special, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, it's quite cool. It's a really dope song, really dope intro to the album. Okay, and then the next two songs that we're going to talk about are Anybody and Gubona, right? These are two very interesting songs to me. Probably my favorite of the album. But one thing I was confused about was what would you call this genre of music, like this specific two songs?
I'll go what you touched on, like in your previous point. It's completely a fusion, you know. And the fact that you have the difficulty in trying to put it into one box I think that's his objective, you know. And it's this little influence that he picks up along the way, and then you just feel it. There's something that I heard him say, I think, when researching the album. He says is that I write and create music through my ancestors, you know. It's like something deeper. That's why he doesn't write in one language. It's like 3 languages usually.
Mm-hmm. And
then he gives you that. So you're like, and he gives it to a mainstream audience. So it's just like you feel it. I don't understand everything, but it's the vibe, you know. It's like, and African music has been there for a lot of time, you know. There's always a message, but then you don't always only have to get the message. And it's just the vibe. And it's not one thing. It's the fusion of everything. It's what Africa became. It's what he became. And I think what the songs are, you know, you feel good, like you said. You don't know what the genre they are, but it's one of your favorite songs in the album. That says the whole movement is that. Yeah.
And I think it's to just, it's fusing everything. It's like fusing, you know, the sort of the old and the new, you know. I think what I like about this song, it just fuses the old and the new in a way that like other, like, if you can call Nigerian or Afrobeat acts don't do. They don't fuse. Maybe Tiwa Savage here and there, but like not like him. He's like really approaching it in an artistic way, but then still making it vibe, you know. I think it's a perfect combination of both things. And then even there's like a moment here, he sort of sampled the verse from Angelique Kidjo. I don't know if you know her. She's like a Benin. What do you say, Beninese?
Beninese.
But like a singer from Benin, the African country, and this is a part right here. I'm gonna play it right here for people to listen.
I don't charge my energy. I no get time for no enemy.
Yeah, this is a part from Anybody, from the verse, and then here's a part from Angelique Kidjo's song, which he sort of sampled. Play it right here. And she seems to be quite an influence to Burna Boy's music, and she's actually a multi-Grammy winning African artist, and she's probably quite an influence to him. And then like he managed to feature her on the album, by the track later on in the album, Different, with Damian Marley, and and I think. And it's quite cool. And I'm also obsessed with, like, if you check on Okbona, right?
Yeah.
There's that moment on 40 seconds of the song. That voice that he sort of does. yo, diggy diggy diggy, holy do do do.
Oh. Good, good.
I love that. I love that. I love like that.
That's very
movement.
classic of all the Afrobeat.
From the old, the
Afrobeats.
classic Afrobeat
yeah.
music, right? From
Yeah.
like your Fela Kuti.
Exactly,
and
yeah. It took me right back to it. Like,
Yeah,
when I
co-
heard it.
Yeah, because Angelique Kidjo actually does it as well on this same Wee Wee song that he sampled, that Burna Boy sampled on Anybody, and the moment's right here. I'm gonna play it right here. And then here's the Gbona part played right here. Yeah, like I said, man, these songs are just cool. They vibey. There's not really any message or anything. It's not really saying anything deep, you know.
Yeah.
But they are deep songs. We're gonna get to them a bit later. But yeah, man, it's just really, it's art, but it's also pop, and it's like, you know. And then funny enough, Angelique Kidjo beat him in the Grammy for this album where he got Grammy nominated for this
Yeah,
African
he
Giant.
did, yeah.
And then the artist who won was actually Angelique Kidjo. She won the Grammy for Best Woman. But in her music, the thing with her music is more like, you know, it's just like classical Afrobeat.
He gets a
And
different type of recognition every time she releases anything.
Yeah, she gets a lot of recognition. But then like the masses don't. It's not like Burna Boy where everyone listens to. It's like it's mostly like critics who like her music,
Yeah.
and not so much the majority of people. But yeah, but I think it's that thing. These songs are like, it's that Afrofusion, and I think these are the perfect examples of the Afrofusion when it works.
Yeah. No, to me it definitely does work. And then he sounds, I would classify him in a different category from the other Nigerians that did reach almost the same heights. Recent Nigerians anyway. In that I feel that I could be speaking to my lack of knowledge of classical Nigerian music, but I feel like he pays more homage to those that have done it before, and he has a certain understanding of how it works and the dynamics, and it's like there is space for us, the new youth, to appreciate what was done in the past with a twist of the new times, you know. So I feel he does that a lot, and it works.
That's true. It's true. And I think that the other artists, they don't do that much, like appreciate like what people did in the past. And then the next two songs, I sort of labeled them as like the African struggle songs, about struggle, and the songs are What Thing Men Go Do, Wetin Men Go Do, Wetin Men Go Do, and Dangote. And like Dio said, he said, you know, on this album, it's really a fusion. And he's like, he mixes English, Pidgin, Igbo, Yoruba, and maybe other dialects, Nigerian dialects or languages.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to sort of YouTube translate some of the songs. Some songs don't have translation. but it's you still enjoy it for the vibe, and you can sort of, with music as well, if it's good, you can tell what he's saying without having to understand exactly what they're saying. And one thing that it surprised me about this album is how political it actually is. Like I didn't think his music, because I heard like Anybody and Gbona and all those songs, I didn't think his music had any politics. I only realized before I heard the album, when I heard his new songs from his Twice as Tall.
Sounds like
Monsters that we created, or Monsters. I was like, okay. But then I just thought like he was going political because he was like, you know, trying to just be different, or because we were in a very political time this year. I thought that's why he was going political. But then I saw on this album, it's also political and talks about African struggle. And I really like these two songs as well. And it's basically about just people, the life of Nigeria, or maybe even Lagos, where it's a constant hustle and trying to fight to get money. And yeah, it's a really cool song. I really like Dangote even more.
Yeah, that I really like the song too.
Yeah, it's a very special song. Very, very special song. Especially the name of the song is named after.
What was your take on it? Why do you think, like, you know, yes, we have this language barrier for parts of his songs, but what did you get from it?
So with Dangote,
the two of them, like if you were to summarize the two of them, because like the two, like you said, and I think rightly, struggles in the African struggles, but how would you interpret both songs and the fact that they come one after the other?
I think sort of what thing men go do is like, I think it's from what I remember, it's about what will a man do to get money, basically, right? Or what will he do after he gets the money, or how will he get the money, or how will he survive, survive in the streets.
Yeah.
And then Dangote is basically also the same thing, but I think with Dangote the message is like, the reason why it's named Dangote, I think, is because it's very clever. It's like, we're struggling so much to get money, but then we have the richest man in Africa in our continent. Like, why are we struggling so much when we have the richest man in the continent, who's a billionaire? I think his net worth is like $8.5 billion. But then why are we struggling and hustling and everything? So it almost feels like it's a plead for help. It's like Dangote, it's like, Dangote, help us, help us. But like not saying it directly to him, but like just in a symbolic way. And yeah, and the hustling sort of vibe and everything. What do you think of the song? Of what the songs are about?
I think almost the same lines as what you said. Hell's I see it. I see, they struggle songs, but from different perspectives. One is just a man dealing with life, all the things that he has to do, and then how it can get tough, and how things can weigh on you, and that you have to fulfill your duties in all aspects of life. That's what men gonna do. With Dangote, I see a little different from you. It's that I don't see it's a cry to him. It's more almost like a recognition that, exactly like you said, we might suffer, but Dangote became so rich, so the money is there, and we can, if we focus, we can get to where he is, It's just like, I'm doing this thing, I can get to where he is, you're gonna know my name, you won't be telling me no's, you'll be telling me yeses, I'm coming, that kind of thing, which is, it made me, listening to these two songs kind of made me look at our perspective, our reality here in Angola. It's like, we don't have many songs this way. We have songs about struggle, we do, but not of hope.
It's about hope.
Dangote is a song definitely about hope, and it's like, and I think that's a very Nigerian thing. They do believe the hope is there, because so many of them cannot eventually make it, because there's so many of them in comparison to us, and it's like, we can make it. Dangote, like, we're gonna get there, and the money's coming. We don't have songs like this. I thought about songs that I know that like this, but we don't have a message of hope that could speak to our nature, perhaps, or something.
A message
deeper.
of like solution, no?
It's not a solution per se.
Or like hope.
It just says we making it is an option. It's one of the options, making it, because Dangote. And then the thing with Dangote, is that he is recognized as being a hardworking man that earns self-made what he has. We can get into other discussions, but then that's it. To them, that's what he is. He's a man that made it, and made it big, and became the richest African man. So we can do it as well. So yeah, that's how I see it. It's definitely, one is a struggle. Things are tough, but then if you put work to it, you can also become the richest man in Africa, or even the world.
Yeah, and I think and you think that's why he put it together, put the songs.
Yeah, I mean, like, let me not despair you. Things are tough. It's rough. You gotta give your wife money so she can cook, but you can be Dangote as well.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think that's just the Nigerian attitude. I think that's why they sort of, the country that has prospered the most in Africa in a way, like an international, as individuals, like individuals have prospered more than like even South Africans in a way, because South African has a bigger economy, obviously, but like the individuals have been able to go more global.
Yeah, but growing up in South Africa, right, and one of the things that people that I saw growing up, the globalization of South Africans, at least the black race of South Africans, wasn't something very common. It was rare. It was very rare, because like it was a rising part of the sector of the country. I think they're starting to do more, but not the way Nigerians have been doing it. Nigerians have been doing it for way too long, and you can see that in the world. And I think the example of the people that they have throughout the world is a proof of that.
Oh, true. Yeah, so some really good songs. I'm obsessed with that trumpet.
Yeah.
Dangote in minute one. that that thing. Ding, 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 ding.
I think the production in this album was one of the highest points for me.
Yeah.
It really was. I think there have been songs that I think we've talked off air that I feel might have been rushed, to finish, but it wasn't not production wise. Some production might be some simple, but then it's like a homage to what African sounds and classic Afro beats and other types of sounds.
Yeah. I think maybe just the songwriting was rushed as well.
Yeah.
I think it's something we'll get to a bit later, but it was a little bit rushed. But yeah, that's dope. And then now we're gonna head to the sort of songs I labeled the love songs of the album. There's other songs that you could call love songs as well, right? But I just put these ones together because they're really very romantically focused. And the songs are Gum Body featuring Georgia Smith and Pull Up. Some Afro love songs, if you can call it that. And I think I think the songs are quite cool. They're quite cool. Gum Body is cool. But what do you think? Do you think these songs have anything that like American love songs don't have? Did it offer you something that like other songs didn't?
In terms of an American love song?
Yeah, in terms of everything like sound and message.
Apart from the sound and production, which it's a distinctively different sound from what Americans usually produce, I wouldn't say much. Georgia Smith does have that international sound. You can't really pinpoint it to America or even England for that matter. But apart from that, the song, right? Let's say lyrics-wise, in terms of songwriting, I think it's one of even vocal performance by Burna Boy. It's one of his most Americans, especially on Pull Up. It's a very sentence structure and the scenario that he paints up. It's not very distinctive to Africa. It's more like an American thing, and that's the thing with this album and the label that he was representing when the album was out. He was trying to appeal to a wider audience, but mostly an American audience in this point. And I get what the song is, but I don't feel it offers anything different apart from the different sound. If that's what you're going for, and I think with Georgia Smith, I like the feature. I think they work well together. It's a good contrast between both voices. But we'll talk about features later on. But with her, I think this one really works, and I really like the sound. I like the song, Gum Body.
Yeah, now they're cool songs, but like you said, I think it also doesn't really have. He could have Africanized it more. Did you think?
Yeah, in terms of that's what I was thinking about. Like in terms of a love story, they are. There's little aspects of life in Africa, Like for example, we eat more in the streets, we move more with our hands, the kind of foods we eat, and then there's I think there's also a strong connection between love and food, which is I think especially with us in Africa, it's very strong. And then it's nothing to do with cooking with someone or anything like that, but just it tells you, paints you a landscape of how things are
in our life. And I think the problem also as well is, I think Georgia Smith Americanizes even more, or makes it more international, takes it less out of the continent. Maybe it was a marketing decision, business decision. Maybe they thought, we want to gain some audiences here and there. Yeah. But it could have been better.
I like Gum Body. Pull Up is one of my least favorite songs on the album, I should say. I think it's one of the laziest songs in the album, if you ask me as well.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion on it. I don't really have on Pull Up. I don't have much to offer, but I do like Gum Body. It's not my favorite song on the album, but I do like the song, and I grew to like it more the more I listen to it.
Okay, so the next group of tracks are the songs I would call the conventional Afrobeat songs. And then the songs are Killing Them featuring Zlatan, and On the Low, and Omo. Yeah. What do you think the songs are more conventional Afrobeat?
I would talk about the modern Afrobeat.
Yeah, the modern Afrobeat.
Yeah, I think this is more. I think even the way the drums come out sometimes, it has more of a stronger vibe, more traditional with the more aggressive new sounds that we get. Really dance songs, you can imagine it goes off, people just dancing up, and you love it. You just love it, you just want to dance to it.
Yeah, especially like songs like On the Low and Omo.
Yeah.
Even Killing Them.
I like Killing a lot.
You like that song?
Yeah. Because the first time I heard it, I I had the headphones on. It was really loud,
Yeah.
and it just came on like it's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, it's very different from
Yeah,
everything on the album. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not.
Mr.
I don't know how
Zlatan comes through.
Who?
Mr. Zlatan comes through.
Mr. Zlatan.
Alright.
This is Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, but I do like it. I don't know about conventional. I don't know if I would say they conventional, but maybe that might speak to my lack of experience in listening to new Afro beats. But it's a very African sound, and I like it. It's very African. Even though when I think when Zlatan comes in and he comes through, it's kind of I don't know if you remember. It reminds me of like old African raps.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of when.
Hallelujah, the whole thing. It's like it's African, the old African songs. But I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know what genre would
Sort
be.
of like aggressive and like
Yeah.
a little bit like.
Yeah, but I like it. It was kind of nostalgic to me, in parts, and I enjoyed it.
And doesn't have that like strong American influence. Like,
Yes, it does.
Or like modern, like they're not trying to be like
Yeah, like they used it. They worked in their
Whatever.
confined space and they created what they wanted to create
yeah,
from the
yeah.
whatever experiences they went and gathered. And I like what I like what came out. I could be a bit biased because
Yeah.
it was a bit nostalgic to me. I don't know where from, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sounds that I've heard before, and it came back.
No, and I think the funny thing is like I was a bit indifferent about Killing Them. This is a very interesting song because I was a bit indifferent about it for some reason because I don't know. I just maybe I like his more jazzy type songs, the more like traditional Afrobeat type songs. And this one was very different. I was like, I don't know how to feel. I was like, do I like this? I don't like this. But then I was a bit indifferent about it. But then I did see that. I was surprised to see though. Now I'm hearing you also really like the song, and I was surprised to see that people like the song a lot. It's one of the most popular songs in the album. And I think, yeah, it probably has that traditional Afrobeat rap type vibe because Zlatan is sort of a rapper from Nigeria as well.
Yeah, and I think it changes. I think
Yeah,
even though you grouped them as modern, I think they're very different songs, all three of them. Extremely
yeah.
different songs. Maybe a coincidence in type of genres and sound that they represent would be the only connection. But apart from that, I wouldn't group those three songs because
Together.
the vibes and the feelings,
Yeah. I think almost sounds more like Afrobeat, like doom doom
Yeah.
doom, like the sound, the modern Afrobeat that like when I think of Afrobeat, I think of that specific sound,
Oh.
like doom 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 doom. Those type of
Yeah.
drums and like
Do you know how I treat it? I treat it this way, and I would say of this three, because when you told me to think about three, I thought about the three. I'm like, the only one I'll say is modern, and the reason I would use it would be because of recent history. It would be that I would say On the Low. On the Low to me is the most modern because it's a song, and I would imagine Drake wanting to be part of that song. And when we think about the recent,
yeah.
for better or worse, for the recent movement of Afro beats, Drake was also a big part of it. I think
Oh
with
yeah,
his
with the
2 albums
views.
ago, I think his views when he worked with Wizkid and other African acts. It was this kind of vibe. If you listen to On the Low, it was that sound. So I would say that Omo and Killing Them, I wouldn't as much, but maybe it'll be a variation of the sound of the new modern sound.
Yeah. And I think it's. I just grouped them like
Yeah, but I don't.
in a way.
What was
But they're very different. Every song in the album is quite, not every, but like a few. I think when we get to the next session, the features is where like
goes
it's-
off a little bit.
it gets quite off. But yeah, a lot of songs are like just a fusion. Just like
Yeah.
that's why he calls it African fusion because it really is like it's like the rapping aspect of Zlatan.
They call him the Afrofusion Kingpin, right? Burna
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, the Afrofusion Kingpin. And like, yeah. And it usually, I think in this album, that's where it worked the best.
Yeah, but
In other albums, I'm not so sure if it's other words. But
obviously, this whole discography. Have you heard all his albums?
actually, I haven't. I'm just.
Neither
talking
have
out my
I.
ass.
I'm restricted by his 2 albums. This one
Twice as
and
Tall,
and
yeah.
Twice as Tall.
Yeah.
Like I told you before, I think this is a better album. And I feel like if I had listened to this first, I would have felt disappointed by Twice as Tall. Perhaps. I feel it's a bit more globalized album, right?
This one.
No, Twice as Tall.
Oh, he tried to appeal to.
Yeah, in some parts, but I think this works better. Maybe I'll see how he matures. I'll definitely pay attention to that.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, and then but how much do you like? Have I asked you this? Do you like Afrobeat, like the modern Afrobeat? Like honestly speaking, do you listen to it at all with enjoyment?
Some songs, yes. Some songs I listen to, I do. Some Nigerian acts I really like listen to. I'd listen to Davido when he had some really popular songs because they played everywhere. You got more exposure to it, and I did listen to it, and I did like the songs. You know, I like Wizkid. I haven't heard like one of his albums to completion. That's my mistake. But there were some singles he had on TV that led me to listen to some other songs of his that I appreciated. You know, even before the whole Drake thing. You know, I did like some of his music. And they are the Nigerians acts that just come through and I enjoy because I think they make really good music. I think they do have that capability. And what is missing, perhaps, but that's more to do with me than to the music, is I don't usually venture out to listen to whole new genres. Like this thing of doing this work with you, this period, it did expose me to some things that I wouldn't normally check. And then I'm like, I'm depriving myself of some great music. But yes, I do like it. I do like it mostly because I feel our African music in general is starting to change for the better. You know, our music was at a point was very disposable. Now we're making music that is traveling all over the world, and then it's the thing. It's not the language barrier doesn't exist because it's not about just language. Our music is never just about language. It's about dancing. It's about joy. It's about happiness. If you look at the whole thing, we talk about the political songs. We don't have many grief songs, especially looking in my culture. Our culture, we don't have many grief songs. There are one in a few, but if we compare, for example, to punk rock, which is almost a whole genre dedicated to depression and grief, we don't have that much, you know. So our music is happy. It's about dancing. It's about joy. It's about smiling, you know. And I feel the world is starting to feel that. And then the whole dancing, you see the European videos, the Asian videos of groups of people just dancing to our songs.
Jerusalem, the biggest hit of the year, probably.
What was that?
Jerusalem, it's like
exactly.
Probably like the biggest song of the year, African song. Huh?
We were dancing, celebrating here. People were dancing. They didn't even know it was a gospel song.
People were dancing with their bikinis.
Like like hey man,
twerking.
Really?
You just have to hear the name of the song, Jerusalem.
Anybody got time for that?
Like, you just have to hear, like, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is from the Bible. But people don't care, man. Just want to shake their ass.
That's how potent it is. Like, the music is so potent that you just get lost in it.
Yeah. No, that's true. Okay, and now we're going to jump to, like, sort of the American features of the album. And the songs are Secret featuring Jeremiah and Serani. Serani is a singer-songwriter from Jamaica. Jeremiah, you probably all know, is an American R&B artist. And there's Show and Tell featuring Future. And then there's This Side featuring YG, both American artists that I'm sure you guys know. And yeah, man, I think big props to him for getting such big names to feature in his album. And, you know, people like, you know, Jeremiah, YG, even Georgia Smith. She was quite big. She was still sort of big. I think she still sort of is. Not big, but like she's very well known globally.
Yeah, I think at least in the UK, I think her album's really top charted. I think her highest was third in the Billboards.
Well, she managed to, like, her first album, she managed to, you know, get like global reach with like quite a few of her songs. And yeah, and Secrets, I really like the chorus. I like that chorus, right? Because for some reason I thought it was Jeremiah. That I know you wanna pain sometimes.
That's not him.
It's not him. It's the Serani guy. I thought it was Jeremiah.
Yeah, so did I.
And I was like, whoa, damn, Jeremiah, like, because I think, and then this is the issue that I want to get to right now. I thought it was Jeremiah, and I was like, wow, like the American guy is actually trying to fit in to the African music instead of bringing his style
Yeah.
and trying to force his style into the music. But then it was actually the Jamaican guy, this Serrani guy, and then yeah, and I think that is the problem. That is the problem, because I didn't like any of this feature. I think Secrets is the best because of that chorus. The song in general is like okay, but like Show and Tell is a disaster. This side is another disaster, and it's like, and I think that's the problem. Like they try. The Americans are a little bit arrogant. You have to just say that. Like, I don't know if it's the Americans, the African artists, but like you shouldn't like, because you never have an American. Like the only person who does it probably is Drake.
Canadian.
He's Canadian, right? Yeah, Drake. He'll make you feature. He'll like feature Burna Boy in his song, and he'll rap like Burna Boy, or he'll make the song like Burna Boy, like a Burna Boy song. Or even if he's featured on a Burna Boy song, he'll try to sound like Burna Boy. Like even if you think of like just the Bad Bunny song with Mia, that listen this goodness Mia.
Yeah.
Like he made a Spanish song and he tried to fit into that role. He was actually singing in Spanish.
Yeah.
And even any other songs, like even now he's going on that English vibe, rapping vibe, featuring in other English rappers and doing that whole, that war flow. Men go take the mess and like sort of that.
No, but that's what Drake became notorious for, and that they try to title him culture vulture to a point, but I don't think he is, because like you said, he does bring the best performers of that genre to the forefront, and he does give him a spotlight. He gives him a chance, and uses his platform to promote their music, right? And I think that's what everyone would want, right? It's like, not you getting the songs. Yeah, the difference will be he getting the songs and not using the people that actually influence him to get to that point. And I agree completely with you with these features. Completely. My thought was exactly the same. Jeremiah went and did the effort. Like, find out who am I actually working with, and let me produce something that aggregates some more value to whatever I'm doing. I felt like with the other ones, like almost they had like something already done. Like I have this to use. What's your message is? This side. Okay, I'm gonna say this side. I'm saying something about this side, but I have this 16 that I already prepared. I'm just gonna sing.
There's nothing about Africa on this. I think this side is the worst.
Yeah, I don't think it should be about Africa, but at least respect the sound that you're trying to represent. And then with rappers, usually we talk about rappers and maybe singers collaborating, and you have the contrast of the two things. You have the singing and you have the rapping. I know that it works, but there needs to be a marriage, right? And there wasn't a marriage in here. The songs fell out of place. They didn't feel like they fit in the album. I think Secret works because of that, because Jeremiah doesn't have that strong influence that he has like a whole verse to change the whole narrative, the whole sound of the thing. But with the other two, I think YG and Future. I'm not the biggest fan of YG. I don't really listen to his music. Future, I do a little bit more. And Future somehow very melodic. I think he could have done something if you just put in the work. Yeah. But if you feel like it wasn't, it feels like something rushed.
Yeah, I think it's that thing you said. Like I think he just had a verse and just take that.
I think a lot of rappers do that. I think you just see, especially with features, you're like, what does that have to do with the song though? Like someone's talking about love and dudes talk about like shot 3 dudes. Like, what does that have to do with the song though?
We're just giving out features.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, maybe that's what makes Drake great, because Drake puts in the effort, puts in the homework. They criticize him, but then he tries to blend in the music. He tries to, he tries to not think he's more important than the sound of the music that he's trying to feature, And I think that's the big issue with African artists, And I think, I don't know why we keep trying. Even Davido did it. Very few people. Yeah, Davido, Wizkid.
Yeah.
And they get an American artist, and really, like, the only feature I can think of that worked by an African artist that I can on top of my head is probably Wizkid with Drake in Closer, where but it's still Drake.
One Dance.
No, Closer. One Dance is the best.
I liked One Dance. I know it's not a great song.
No, it's a really good song.
I always liked One Dance.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about like a song by an African artist where
Oh.
they featured an American. I think
Yeah.
Closer is a really cool song.
I think I've heard Closer.
Yeah, baby, come close. The knees have been
He's not
drowned.
helping.
I'll just play it a little bit here.
Yeah.
Let's just listen to Closer a little bit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, come
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah, yeah.
Give it a chance, yeah.
When you see the whole podcast in general, you'll hear it properly. But yeah, it's a cool song. But I wanted to ask you, have you heard like an American feature in an African song that you liked, like by an African artist? They featured an American that you like. What? But not like One Dance, because One Dance is a Drake song.
Yeah.
But like a song by an African, like let's say whoever African artist, the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, in terms of that, we have to talk about artistic freedom, I think, in first place. And then you talk about when you call an artist to come through, does a person aggregate value to your sound? Or is it just simply economic reasoning behind it that, okay, I'm going to reach a wider audience if I can tap into this guy's fan base, that guy's fan base, and all of that. In that aspect, I haven't heard anything good. That what I've heard, but then I should also say I haven't heard much. But I haven't because a lot of the time it sounds false. Like we said before, it doesn't sound fitting to the sound. It doesn't pay homage to the sound that it represents. And I do think the artists that I can imagine, for example, there are. I don't know if he'll pay. He'll pay respect, but not with his singing, but it will be with his production. I see someone like Kanye West. I think if he died, because there was whispers that he was going to work with some African acts.
Yeah, on Yandi.
Yeah,
Yandi.
and then I think if he did that, I think he would have, because he's very good at paying homage with sound. He might not be able to sing it or rap it, but even when he does change sounds, he tries to respect it. You know, we have albums of his like 808 and Heartbreaks, where he changed his sound completely. And people thought they would hate it, but it's a lot of people's Kanye's favorite album to them. And then so... You?
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
so
favorite album.
so you have that. So but then Kanye West doesn't. Maybe even Travis Scott would have worked. It's people that though you'll be really left from his sound, but it's people that they don't just make the verse or just the song. They make the complete song.
Yeah.
They think about little aspects and nuances of the song, and then I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate when you can feel when a song is rushed. And when a song has like little small nuances that were put in there and put in place, because it's a blank canvas, so everything that's on the song, someone decided to put in.
Yeah.
And then
No, I
with this
think,
songs, you feel like a lot is missing.
Yeah. No, I think it's mostly like it's an artist who has a year for production, not just like usually artists who produce are like that, and then usually artists who produce are very honest. Like if they can tell this is not working, they're not gonna release the song. Like they'll first have to be satisfied with themselves. Like people like Travis Scott, Kanye West, even A$AP Rocky, and Drake. You know, these are people who Kendrick. These are people who Beyonce. People who like they really care about their music.
Beyonce had
Beyonce
a lot of African sounds, and she made it work.
Yeah, she made it. She made it work.
She really did made it work.
Yeah, she really made it work. She got a lot of African artists to feature in her music.
Yeah.
And it worked because these are people who like. If it's not working, they're not gonna release it. You know, if you're not gonna give like 100% in the music.
But are we judging musicians as per se, or are we talking about rappers? Because I think it's a different conversation. You know, when we're talking about rappers.
Well, I think it has to be a combination for the feature to work. I think like the musician, the American artist should care about what they put out there, and be honest with themselves. Like if let's say Burna Boy featured Beyonce. Like Beyonce wouldn't give a lousy verse like Future or YG.
Yeah, look, you know what? I think it comes. I think the grand picture of what you're trying to create is the most important thing. One of the examples that I love is Frank Ocean. He used Beyonce in Pink and White.
I didn't even know.
That's Beyonce. Like towards the end of the song, she just hums.
Oh, okay.
And like that's all he wanted from her.
Yeah.
That wasn't about Beyonce's name. It was just he
About
wanted a perfect sound that's like you would make that perfect sound.
Yeah.
And then that's what art is, you know. You try and create something great. You're trying to make something as artistically as possible, and you're trying to show your expression as best you can, and that's when you use features. I'm not the biggest fan of features in the first place. I like duets. I think duets work a lot because it's usually a contrast, especially when you have like a male and female or two very contrasting voice types. But with because we have that a lot in rap music, which is common. You have like a bunch of rappers just everyone exchanging 16s, seeing who has the best bars, which works for that. But like I think we start to see a bigger pattern, even in rappers. Some rappers like Kendrick Lamar, for example, and J. Cole, where they're more reluctant to use features.
Yeah.
Because being a rapper is being a storyteller. And usually telling your stories, because most raps is stories. And if I bring you in, you're gonna tell your own story, and you cut away from like that whole thing you said, like what you said has nothing to do with the story I'm trying to tell.
Yeah.
So you get like Kendrick's telling a story that is like it's a complete day of his life with Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah.
And you get someone just comes in and raps about whatever he wants. You're like, you drifted away from that,
Yeah.
So I feel.
No, but I think you're right. I think artists are starting to care more about the bigger picture, because like duets are starting to become more popular right now. Where usually it was featuring, now it's like Beyonce and Pharrell or whatever.
Yeah, look, I don't know if you know, Jay Electronica and Jay-Z made an album.
Yeah, they made
album
a collab
together,
album. Yeah, they made a collab album.
Jay Electronica referred to Jay-Z as partner in rhyme. Not partner in crime, but partner in rhyme. Yeah, because like about 12 songs or somewhere about that, and Jay-Z features in about 8 of them. So it's not a feature, like he's
like
part
it's
of
like a consistent
Yeah.
like member. It's almost like Watch the Throne. Type vibe.
Yeah, almost. But then Watch the Throne is the throne. The two of them were the throne.
And they in every song together.
Jay-Z plus Kanye is the throne. It was a group, the throne.
Oh yeah. It was a group. Yeah. So yeah, man. So it's an issue, man. I hope African artists don't fall into that trap only because it's a big artist.
But I feel like today, especially today, with the globalization, especially with things like such as Spotify and Apple Music, more artists are starting to figure out they need the labels less. They need executives that tell you, a lot of these artists are forced, they're forced to work with certain people just because they're part of the same label, for example. So that person's doing well, so work with this person so you can do well as well. And like today, because we have more interviews, and it's always interesting to hear like music producers and people talk about people that they were forced to work and how hard it was to produce one song because some exec didn't even like the way it sounded, but then you have a fan base. I'm a big J. Cole fan, as you know.
Yeah.
And being a J. Cole fan, we had so many mixtapes that are absolute classics, but his album just wasn't coming out. And when his album came out, it was alright, but it wasn't better than his best mixtape. And like he gave us a mixtape called Friday Night Lights, which to us as like fans was the album that we weren't gonna get. It was like, okay, get this because you won't get the album that you expect. And that's how and he is that way, and he knew that, and he did that. Now I think he's more able to find the line between success and doing and fulfilling his vision. And I think every artist needs to get to that point. But until you get to that point, it's really tough.
Oh yeah. To be like independent and like be able to make your own choices and market it well.
Yeah.
So that you pay the bills. So then the next songs are songs that I think are more political songs that I would say is Collateral Damage and Another Story featuring Manifest. And so what do you think of these songs?
With Collateral Damage, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Collateral Damage and Another Story. I think Collateral Damage, he talks about the reality of struggles in Nigeria and how like the government is failing them. And it's like a critique of, look at what you're doing. Like, we are here suffering, but the president, he's out there cutting, he's eating it. The government is eating in everyone. And he takes it, and then with Another Story, we start with that monologue in the beginning about the history of the creation of creation, because they didn't create it, Nigeria was always there.
Yeah.
But then how England acquired Nigeria, and that the pretext that they told of what they wanted to do, but was something else. They wanted to, as almost every African country went through, they wanted to feed from African countries and take, and then he brings it back to talk about how does that affect us until today? How do we get shaped from that in a way? And now knowing who he is and how he does drift to that political side, you actually first saw his political side. I heard the album Twice as Tall. I heard the song with Chris Martin. That was a very politically charged song. Then about the SARS thing as well.
He posted.
Yeah.
What the song was about SARS.
No, there wasn't a song. He just posted a lot.
Instagram and stuff.
Because
okay.
I found about him that the album was like, the best album ever, because Diddy was an executive producer in his album Twice as Tall.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know how Diddy works when he produces album. Diddy will produce the hell out of your album. Like he will write for it and
produce how, like, sell it.
Yeah, like you would, like you'll sell it to everyone. He'll talk about it, and he like if I'm like, oh, let me Burna Boy, let me listen. How am I listening to Burna Boy? So I went and listened to it. Yeah. And I started following him a little bit, and I saw the whole thing that he's very political in talks. And then I researched him, like, he actually has some problems, some controversies. I think on his Wikipedia page, it's there that he actually kind of offended a Nigerian youth, saying that they deserve everything that they got. Kind of in the sense like, you elected this people, so you deserve what you got. But things are never that simple,
Yeah.
So with artists, I think we need to be careful, especially when it's political, because we all grew up with the histories or the famous stories of Bob Marley, that someone that fought for freedom, and how many artists, even the Beatles, try to stop the wars and stuff like that. So I feel artists, not all, but a good majority of them, feel like they have a responsibility to be a voice, and they should be a voice perhaps, but then it's hard for them at times, and I feel like they try to be something that maybe they don't have all the answers to.
Yeah.
And I don't think Burna Boy wants to be the person that has the answers. I don't think he wants to be that. I think he wants to be a commentator on it and a critic at times. And that's what these songs are. But I appreciate for what it is. I don't really take political advice from musicians. not to say that he's not worth anything. I just feel like it's a different game, It's the message is there, we take it, you listen to it, but then I don't depend on Burna Boy to come and save the world. I'm just saying that because I feel it's too much weight to put on artists sometimes. Yeah. And then when they can't deliver, because it's good and well to talk about political things, but then is he actually having real conversations? Is he actually going there
doing
trying
something, making it happen?
Or he's just singing about it, because it's different, If he's just making the music and he wants to get people behind him because he talks about real things, I respect that, and there is some value in it. But then I'm really taking it to heart.
What is he doing?
That's
the big question. Yeah,
that's the thing,
It's like that debate that people have of like social media activists,
Yeah.
Post all those things about, stuff, but then
I think you should talk about things. I think it's important to mention things, especially when there's like this wrongdoing. But I
think you should, if you have the ability or the power to do something, you should try and do something, like, or the influence to do something.
But it's a big ask, It's a big ask for some people because they have to. They have the perception they have to sacrifice a lot to be there that people expect them to be.
Yeah.
And and I feel like the best that Burna Boy can be for us is be a great musician. Be a great musician, make good music, and be honest to your music. I think that does enough good in the world that we can focus on other things, So it's mostly that how I feel. And then
to me it's like, it feels like, I think he cares, but I think he also wants to, you can tell he wants to reach the heights of like your peoples, like your fella Kutis, and who are very political.
That's what I'm saying. It's
very,
not easy.
Very political. Like he was like extreme political, and he was political at a hard time to be political when it wasn't.
It was a life and death thing.
It was like where he could have gotten killed, you know, but then he sort of was smart in a way where he like tried and he tried to sort of always be ambiguous in a way. He's like suffering and smiling. There's a song called Suffering and Smiling.
No, actually,
it's not suffering, huh? Have you heard that one?
No, like you should hear him. I was listening to him. Like
you're listening.
Trying to like
like Beasts of No Nations and stuff. And it's like always his message is always like it's political, but then he wants you to dance to it as well, So I think you just, like you said, I think you just have to be very careful about being political, because people might demand too much of you when you become too political, and it can become a burden, because Because like you said, you know, his focus should only be being a great musician. That's what that's what's his job, you know. Politics is for the politicians, you know, because he can't really do much besides give a voice, you know. So yeah, it's a very dangerous game to play. And yeah, and I actually thought the song Another Story featuring Manifest, he's sort of a Ghanaian rapper. I thought he was the first rapper, but then now that you say that Zlatan was rapping as well, I didn't consider that to be rapping because it's not like how rappers try and sound now. I think it was the rap of the olden days.
Yeah.
African rap of the olden days. This guy's trying to be more like, you know, the conscious rapper that sort of talks about real things and yeah, and there's a young attack at Unilever as well.
Attack at who?
At Unilever, the company. Remember there was he says at that beginning poem thing, he says,
Oh yeah, now called
it's not called Unilever, but that's another story. And that's how the song sort of begins.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think this album, it's sort of, he tried to give everything for almost everyone, like a song for everyone. Like if you just want to vibe, there's like Anybody, On the Low, and Gabona and all those songs. But if you want a message, there's songs like Collateral Damage, Another Story. Love songs, there's Gum Body and Pull Up. If you want to hear some American artists, there's Show and Tell and This Side, even though they're not great songs. But yeah, like, so it's cool songs with a strong message. Like, what do you think of this move of having, like, trying to cater to, not cater, but like trying to have all these variations, like political love songs, vibey songs, classical sounding Afrobeat songs.
I feel with this, it's which maybe perhaps was something that was done back in the day a lot as well. It was like an album always had like the typical songs, you know. You have your party songs, you have your love songs, you have your kind of socially, politically charged song. It was always like that clap song, you know. It was kind of it's something that was done before, like, but then you get the artistic artist that there's like a whole concept and he makes a whole album out of one concept. And then you get this kind of albums as well. I think it's just kind of artistic direction that they take, and I don't know if I find it the best. You know, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it for what it is, and I feel like the whole concept of albums in this new era that we're in might just disappear because artists, they want to make the most out of one song. So they want to make, especially with Apple Music, where each play means something, has a significance, where you don't just buy albums, you know, it just plays. You just play songs that you like. Even if you have downloaded the whole album through the platform, what matters is how many times you play each song. So with this, albums, yeah, I think that happens again, when like you want people to listen to all the songs, you know, so like, how you deal with it? Would you still release an album? Because I hear talks, you know, artists and whatever, they reevaluating the whole point of releasing a whole album. You know, you just put a single out, let it work as much as you can, and you put another one and just let it work, or just do like 3 songs and just let it call it an EP and just let it work. Yeah. But I get, like I said, it's something that I remember all albums having a lot. You know, you have someone rapping their ass off in one song, and then he wants to cry a few songs later, and he's like, yeah.
Talk to the ladies later.
It's very formulaic in a way, you know. Like there's a formula, you know. You gotta do this song, you gotta do that song, you gotta do that song, and then you gotta make things work. It's just like we try to cater to everyone, so everyone buys the album. That was the whole point. But then people are not buying albums anymore. Yeah,
it's just getting like individual songs now. You're just streaming one song or another.
Because even if you do go for the buying route and you don't have a subscription to a music platform, iTunes, for example, you can buy one song only at the album. You don't have to. They used to. I don't know how it is today. I haven't bought an album in iTunes for like 4 years, but you had the option to buy individual songs instead of buying all the songs. So the whole concept of album is not the same as it was. People are not downloading or buying albums as it was. People just want the songs they want to listen to. And some artists are so big that people listen to all their songs. while others, you know, you just get the opportunity to listen to one song or another.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Because even funny enough, even Wizkid took for a very long time. He was just releasing singles, single after single after single.
It works.
Single, and he's big. He's like huge. I think he hasn't released an album. He released an album now, I think. But he didn't release an album for like almost like 8 years or something, or like 5, 6 years, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, they work on a song, they put it out, it works. Then you got like 5 songs in rotation that people really like.
Yeah.
And then that's enough for you to headline a tour. You know, you have your opening acts that play. You go there, you play your 5 songs, and you close, and you're good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I think albums are gonna die soon.
Yeah.
Unless it's gonna be either two things. Either it's gonna be a brilliant album, and then everyone will want to listen to, like an album like, you know, Lemonade or whatever, or even 444, where everyone wants to listen to, or like an Adele album, like those artists where people like literally wait like 5 years
yeah.
for them to drop music. I think it's gonna be either that. It's like artists with people literally waiting for them to release an album,
Yeah.
or it's gonna be just artists who just release a bunch of singles here and there, you know.
And it just goes because
And
I
it
think
just
it's
goes in.
complicated, especially if let's say you have a long process of album. I think one of the albums that I grew up anticipating was an album by Dr. Dre, the Detox album,
It has been hyped for.
and it never came out. It never came out because the thing is, it was that because like there was a time that he even put a single out, which I'm not an artist, but I can imagine what it's like, the pressure. Imagine an album, in my opinion, should be a coherent vision. Like, you know, you have to have a start and a finish, you know, almost like telling a story in a way. You know, even if you can tell the perspective of the story in different modes. You can tell it from a sadder point, from a happier point, from a party point, but it has that line that joins the whole album. The songs need to be part of a group that makes it an album. So when you throw a single out, right, and I feel like with any kind of art, you know, your first vision might not be your last vision. And they might be so different that they can't even be in the same place. So like, when you create a song, one of the biggest perfectionists that they say in the music industry is Mr. Kanye West. And Kanye West apparently is so paranoid about songs that he changes it until the very last second.
Yeah.
And I heard him make interviews that he's like, there's some songs I'm still not satisfied how it came out. Because there was a song, I think Life of Pablo, the album Life of Pablo, and there was a song called Wolves that featured Frank Ocean, right? At the time, I had the album, right, on my phone, Apple Music. I downloaded the album. I listened to it. I liked it. I liked the song. It was one of my favorite songs in the album. I just like the whole vibe. I like how it works. And then Kanye West changes the song completely. He makes it 2 songs. Like he has Wolves, and then I think it's Wolves Part 2 or something with Frank.
Oh, Frank's song.
Frank's, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I hated that it was. I like how it was together. How it was together. It seemed imperfect, but it worked. And then he changed the whole thing around, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, so I feel like some artists, when you create something and you get out of that zone, because I feel some artists, especially like Dr. Dre or even Kanye West, he started the album Yandi that he wanted to put out, then he stops. Like, you can't make an album, try to be president, come back and finish the same album. It's not gonna be the same album, right?
You're not gonna have the same ideas. Yeah.
Yes, I feel that's the kind of thing that goes with artists. And it's like, something should take long, right? It should take long, but sometimes they can't give themselves the privilege of taking 3 years to create an album because they have contracts that they should release albums, like 5 albums in 3 years.
Yeah.
So you have to honor those contracts as well. That's why artists are looking to get out of the contracts they got in, many of them, so they can have this freedom. And, you know, I want to produce the best I can produce. And you look at someone like Frank Ocean, who everyone knows is super talented.
Yeah.
But then he makes albums. Or it's like, I'm making an album, and like he didn't like the label.
Coherent idea.
Yeah, it's like he didn't like the label, so he made a version of the album, the visual album, for the label, which canceled. We finished his contract with them that he had to do. Then he got free and he made Blonde, which is an album that everyone enjoyed.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it for recognition. He didn't do it for money, for sales. It didn't seem like that anyway. He probably did get a lot of money for whatever he did, but his music doesn't seem rushed or with any other bureaucracy following it. It's just music, and sometimes it just feels at times effortless, but because you can see someone worked really hard on doing that for it to sound effortless. And some songs just like, oh, people really worked their asses off to make this, and you feel it. Others you don't, you know. So
I think it's better when you don't feel it, like,
yeah,
because you're not forced. Because when you feel like it's a lot of effort, then you feel forced to like it. You're like, yeah, you worked really hard, so I must like it.
yeah. But sometimes it's like, because like there can be a fine line, you know. It's because when you gamble with it, it can be the simplicity of it. It can be also a way people say, there's nothing to it. It's too simple.
Yeah.
But like there's little nuances that you keep getting, and you keep like, oh, whenever I listen to this, I feel this. For example, you know, like getting the capacity to make you feel the same feeling every time you hear one song. Someone has to think
hard,
that, and it's like maybe not. It's simple. It's short. Some songs are like a minute, and you're like, it's really short.
But it has that impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, not true. Yeah. And then the next batch of songs, sort of the Jamaica influence. Jamaica sort of it's a big thing with that I associate with Afro, especially the modern Afrobeat associated with Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the songs are sort of that I grouped together. Black Rhino, which is like some, you know, I really love that song. It's just like some person talking. I don't know who it is.
It just works.
It just works. And then there's different featuring Damien Jr., Gong Marley, and Angelique Kidjo that we spoke about earlier. And in these songs, I feel we hear that Jamaican influence in Burna Boy's music, because I think even Burna Boy, the first song that we heard by Burna Boy, which was the one that you talked about, All Eyes on Me, featuring AKA. When I heard it the first time, I thought Burna Boy was Jamaican, because there he really sounded like Jamaican. Like even that sound he makes in the beginning, that sort of ad lib.
Yeah, he does. It could be construed as that.
Yeah, and even his sound, like go down, send it to the body and he flow now, was very, very Jamaican. Maybe he changed it now with time. Now he doesn't have that much anymore. He doesn't.
Not as much.
It's not like you wouldn't associate the sound with Jamaica. But I think Jamaica is obviously a big influence in him. And one thing I'm interested in asking you is like, why do you think Afrobeat is so influenced? It feels like it's very influenced with Jamaican music, or even dancehall. Why do you think like the specific genre, the modern Afrobeat, so associated with Jamaica?
I feel that there are distinctive differences, and I think when we hear the songs that we're talking about, there are just little nuances in it. Why there's tempo, and then the way the bass hits, that's just a bit different, right? And like you said, when he first came out, he did sound much more Jamaican, and I feel that was the necessity, or even perhaps what was asked of him to perform at the moment. So it's like you get that, and it's very it does have the Nigerian connotations. But then we gotta ask ourselves as well, which is, why would it not sound Jamaican, or at least something relatable to Jamaican? Let's look at Afro beats in the modern sense of what it is, something that we've actually spoken about, which is the influences of Afro beat, or at least the modern creators, are not many of them that I see, and I could be wrong, but the most popular ones that I've seen, they didn't necessarily live in Nigeria for the majority of their lives. They were from all over the world, and a lot of them had English influences, not from the traditional English, but Nigerian descendants in England.
Yeah.
And then if anyone knows how England is, especially areas like London and stuff, there's a very strong Jamaican influence that surrounds it. So that crucible of cultures created the new, what we call the Afro dance, right? So the Afrobeat, pardon me. So Afrobeat has that influence. So we gotta ask ourselves: is it Jamaican from Jamaica or English version of Jamaica? Which would you also get that? And I think there is that connection, but I don't think it's something that was chosen. I think it was just who they were. They became that. You know, like we grew up outside of our countries of birth. And what we got is we created, at least people that we saw that were from our country, Angolans that were in South Africa, they were Angolans, but they weren't Angolans from Angola. They were a different trade of Angolans. Even though back then they seemed super Angolan, but when they made an Angolan that lived in Angola in the totality of their lives, they were a different person, which is like what this music is. It sounded Nigerian to them, but when you meet Nigerians that are making Nigerian music that lived in Nigeria the whole time, your music sounds different, and it sounds influenced by something else. Like we were influenced by something else. So I think it's a bit that. But I think they do try to pay homage to the original Afrobeats, which is Ghana, Nigeria, and that region. But with the new twist, with everything that they got and they gathered throughout these years, you know. So it has that, and I'm not surprised that it has Jamaican influences. But then we gotta ask ourselves, where do those Jamaican influences come from? They come back to Africa. So then you gotta ask yourself, where is it all coming from? So I think it's a circle and it works, and everyone is influencing everyone in a way or another. If you go down to the core of things, most of things come from one place.
Yeah, because I've been listening to a few Jamaican songs, and a lot of them are sounding like African songs now. You know, it's not even like the thing that you spoke about, like we being influenced by their sound or by English Jamaican. It's more like they being influenced by us now. It's sort of, you know, coming full circle. And I think that's normal with music. And I think the more influences you have that are from different sources, I think music is a problem when all the influences are coming from one source. Like for a long time, music was just influenced by, obviously, the Americans, you know. People were just being influenced by America. But now we're seeing that, like, even Latin music is becoming popular.
But what they influenced by Americans?
Who?
Music. Because it's like... music in general. I mean...
Yeah, because they were the dominant players for, like... They still are, but, like...
I think a lot of Brits came through. Like, a lot of rock bands were British.
Yeah.
You know...
No, yeah, like, it was
they had
like
to, they went
rock,
to the States to get bigger fame eventually because it was a bigger economy and a bigger market. But I think everyone ends up there. Right, but they're not. But they do come from different places as well.
Yeah. I think the thing with Americans though, they almost make it everything sound like it's theirs, like it came from there.
Marketing, I think they sell the American dream. That's the biggest.
Their biggest currency.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. No, they're very smart with the way they sell their stuff. So yeah, man. So it's very interesting songs. Different is actually quite an interesting song, and it even boils down to the theme that we were talking about, where, you know, it's like it's a song with so many features that are different, right? Where we have Damien Jr. Gong Marley from Jamaica, we have Burna Boy from Nigeria, and we have Angelique Kidjo from Benin, who have three very distinctive sounds and very different sounds, but they sort of all, but then they tie the song together well, and they sort of all the same, and it's like, and I think that's what the song is about. Actually, it's like the world tries to divide us, but at the end of the day, we are all the same. You know. Yeah.
We have enough in common to...
Yeah, we have enough in common to be the same, even though the world is trying to divide us, and, like, you know, musically, you know, because it's that thing we talked about, you know, like they take from English Jamaica, and then where does English Jamaica get influence from Jamaica? And Jamaica, where does Jamaica get influence back to Africa? So it comes full circle into one thing. And... yeah, and it's it's an interesting song. It's a cool song, and yeah. But do you like that song?
Yes, I do.
Or do you feel like you're forced to like?
No, I think not. I don't like the Black Rhino as much as you did.
You didn't like
it? It was.
You didn't like it.
To me, it was a bit of I want to say throwaway listen, but yeah, I didn't feel the way you did about it. I enjoyed. They're not my favorite songs on the album. I gotta say that. And about different, I think that's when Burna Boy kind of sounds more Jamaican, right? But then it brings me back to the point about what we were saying about the rappers as well. Is that the Jamaicans came through and they did Jamaican things. They sounded very Jamaican in what they did. And then, but it worked better somehow. But is it because maybe Burna Boy shifted more what he was? And then the thing is, all of the free features do line up. Like you said, I agree completely. They do align much better than when he tried to align with the rappers, for example.
Like in All
But
Eyes
is
on
it-
Me. Hmm?
Yeah, but is it on what?
He tried. Oh, the American rappers.
Yeah, I guess. But is it maybe perhaps because their styles are more similar, that you can still be loyal to what you are and what you can perform? And I don't believe that when somebody features someone, which it's important to say that you should change your sound to fit to somebody else's narrative, right? Because if I call you to do what you do what you do. I'm calling you to expect you to do what you do, but I feel it's just like we were talking mostly in terms of like you a rapper, right? You have more than one sound of being a rapper. Not all your songs are the same. You know, we talk about flow, for example. You can play with that so that it sounds better to the song. That's what we were talking. Not like a rapper supposed to sing now, and not that. But I feel like this style of song, the marriage was much more coherent. It flowed better, and the music sounded much more effortless. I like much more than I like Black Rhino, but.
Yeah, because Black
It's-
Rhino's
it's-
like it's a skit more. It's not really.
Yeah, it's a skit.
It's not really a song.
But it like the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. But because I didn't get that many listens to it, but I do like some Damian Marley songs. I've been listening to him for a while. Not a while. I used to listen to him back in the day when he had the Nas project, Distant Relatives. I like that project.
He sort of dropped a little bit. Like
Did he? Or we just don't get as much exposure to
yeah, maybe.
to reggae music. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
So yeah. I was gonna say something. But I think in here the reason why this song worked, the thing is because like Burna Boy tried to sound a bit Jamaican in this song. He did. It's like different
Yeah.
militant.
Yeah.
He did the Jamaican flow,
Yeah.
although it's different from All Eyes on Me, his earlier work. And I think they all sort of rode that wave, and then Angelique Kidjo sort of just brought something different.
yeah, I think
But
the
like-
production was behind that. I think that was a good job.
Yeah, she brought something very different, but then that added the song. It almost gave you a little bit of that, like, I don't want to say, I'm a bit scared to say it, but like almost that bum bum bilang, just that female voice that needed to sort of add more variety to the song, but without escaping from the soundscape or the production
It was a good close.
idea. Yeah, so it's a really good closer to the song. It's like it's a little bit unexpected, but then it's like wow, this gives more layers to the song.
Yeah.
And it's a cool song. It's not a song I'm gonna go back to like constantly. It's just like it's a good work of art. I like it, but it's like yeah.
But I feel like the question that you, let's say the replay value of songs, right? And then it's like, what is the reason that takes me back to listen to Burna Boy over and over again? You know, because like you said, there's this crucible of songs in this album that there's different aspects, different genres, different visions, different messages and everything. So when I go back to listen to Burna Boy, what am I going to listen to? Because I won't be listening. I won't like, I'm going to listen a little political, a little reggae, a little. But I want to listen to certain things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, since he doesn't make only one type of music and it's this fusion of songs, so what song would you say is that when you think Burna Boy, would you expect to listen to? If this album was a choice, and like from the album, what songs would you go back and listen to from Burna Boy?
I think from Burna Boy, I think I would go like that thing. Hey, the more traditional Afrobeat vibes, where he tries to be traditional Afrobeat, but adds that modern edge to it. I'm not a big fan of even the political songs in a way. To be honest, like it has a good message, but I give it for the message. But like, you know, music is music. You have to like, can't just be about message. For me, it has to be about everything. It has to be sound, message, lyrics, how you perform, the words, you know. And like Collateral Damage is cool. Another the songs that we said were political, you know, were cool, but they didn't have that sound production value that like something like Dangote has. It's like, you know, Dangote is just soulful, jazzy,
It's a whole vibe.
Afro beats, a vibe. It's a song that like I watched the music video first. That's why I understood what the song was about.
I still haven't watched the music video. It does it expand on the message?
Yeah, the music video tells you exactly what the song's about. So it's a cool, very, very cool music video. It tells you that it shows people hustling and trying to fight to make money.
Yeah.
And then I just saw the music video. That's why I don't like seeing music videos before I listen to the song properly. I didn't get to the song too much. But then
Actually, I've already listened. Apart, I knew some videos because they were really popular. I think it's what's the songs?
like anybody's videos probably on the low.
On the Low. I knew On the Low. That's the only video I
On the
knew.
Low is huge. It's probably the biggest
Yeah,
song of.
That's the only
his biggest
video I
song
knew.
ever.
And then but I'm like the same when we did the ASAP project. I try not to be influenced by it as much. I wanted the influence to be as much as me,
Yeah.
not anybody else's. And with that, of course, you make mistakes, you create wrong assumptions, but that's what it is. At least I form my own opinion about it. And then I start looking at, after I form my opinion and I put it out, and then I start seeing what I can learn from it.
Yeah, but some videos will make a song 50 times better.
Yeah, but there's two things.
It's
though.
like, this is America. The video, you watch the video and it's like, damn, this is.
It
makes the song better.
I don't think I've ever listened to that song.
Just the song,
just
without the
like the
video.
audio in that version. I just don't think I ever have.
Yeah, because I think if you watch Dangote's music video, it makes the song more clear in a way. Because I think it does have. Because when I think about it, it does have that thing of like aspiration or like hope
Yeah.
in the video.
Yeah.
Where like when I was just listening to the song, because I forgot the video. I watched the video a long time ago. I thought it was about something else, but like the video did add some element to it. And he shot the music videos for almost every song in this album.
I think he had like 8 singles, if I'm not mistaken, for this album. His
Yeah,
latest,
he had
his
like
latest
I
single.
think he had a video for
The latest-
Anybody, Gabona, Dangote, Killing Them, On the Low, Secret.
I think the latest single came out this year. I think January
Other
this year.
Story.
The latest single of this album came out
Came out
January this year.
from
So-
this album.
Yeah, so the first one I think was
Oh, it's
2018,
2018, yeah, like September.
and the last one was this year. So we're talking about almost 2 years of rollout.
2 years of marketing. Or
So it's like it really
rolled
but
the wave.
but like, it goes back to the point that we made about songs and albums today. Like, you gotta make every song popular, as many songs
Yeah,
popular
yeah.
as you can. And also,
Yeah.
did he make any videos for the American features?
He did for the Jeremiah one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jeremiah one for Secret. Yeah,
No.
he did a. Yeah, show and tell you can't do a video. It's a waste of money. and this side, yeah, and I think and they're the songs that people don't really like as well, because like just not good songs, So yeah, so I think I like the Burna Boys where like because one thing with music is his production is really good, and it's something.
Yeah.
And as you know about me, it's like I'm very big on like production and everything. And yeah, man, and so the production has to be good, soulful. If it's not vibey, then it has to be soulful.
You know what's happening a lot with
Yeah.
a lot of artists as well.
Yeah.
They partner up with one producer to make a whole project, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
is a great idea.
Yeah, he had KP vibe.
Yeah, KP vibe
Yeah.
or P5 or something. Which what works is you have someone to constantly draw from, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you connect it and you together and you make that vibe. As in, speaking again, like if you talk about hip hop again, which is most rappers have 10 producers in some
Yeah,
projects.
yeah.
It's like it's hard for you to have you shouldn't sound the same, but you have a constant sound.
Yeah, coherent, everything.
And with that, I think when the producer works with, he knows exactly what he has already done. He
Mm.
knows what he's trying to do and when he can go and when he can stretch. And you've seen that, like, there's most recent rap albums from now. A lot of rappers are doing this now as well. They're working with mostly one producer for about 80% of the album, and the albums are just sounding better for it.
Yeah.
The songs just sound fresher. They sound more worked at, and because you know what you've done, so you try to do something different.
Yeah.
And I feel like they becoming better artists. I think artists are becoming more aware of this. That back in the day, everything was publicity. Oh, he has a Scar Storch beat, for example. He has a Dr. Dre beat. He has a Cool and Dre beat. All of that. That was publicity.
Yeah.
But now people just trying to put their message and make the music as good as possible. And I think everyone's benefiting from it.
That's true. It's true. That's why artists who could produce were prospering for a long time, for quite a while.
Yes.
But now, yeah, they're doing a lot of collab albums with producers. Like,
Even your friend, what's his name?
Metro
21
Boomin
Savage.
and stuff. With Metro Boomin.
Yeah. Apparently, when they were working together, they made the best music.
Yeah, that Savage Mode album
Yeah.
was pretty good.
Yeah.
The EP or LP or something, yeah. And then I'm just gonna talk quickly about the album Closer. It's a cool album Closer. I like it. Yeah, I start off speaking his native language. At like 1 minute 7 seconds. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm just gonna play it quickly.
Said all my people spiritual. Ori won pe, taba wole, Jacobo wa pe. Said all my people spiritual. Ori won pe.
I really like that part. I really like it. And yeah, and the album sort of ends with a special message from his mother, where he won when he won the Best International Act BT Award, where he was saying, well, it's all that message, eh? It's like, it's basically saying, you know, keep being who you are or maintain your nature, and that's what Spiritual's about. The final song of the album. It's like, even with all the money and fame, you know, maintain your nature, keep to your roots. And his mother even says, you know, before you are anything, you are African or black people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think it's all sort of tying together the album as well. It's like, we are all one. Like, especially as African. Although he calls himself a giant, he sees himself as a continent. He tries to do everything for the continent, even though he's outside, you know. So yeah, so like I want to talk about what do you think of the album Closer, and what are your favorite songs of the album?
I like Spiritual. Like with much of what you said, I feel the same. And I like the message and the whole thing of spiritual, and it's very true. We are extremely spiritual people. And the lives that we live show that throughout time, throughout history, we are very spiritual. We believe in bigger things than ourselves. And it's usually a very great foundation to have to achieve something greater. And admitting that there's something bigger than you exists, whatever it is, you know? And from what you said, points that I didn't know, which is true, you know, you gotta stay true to your nature, you know? Listen to your inner voices, listen to what you want, something's telling you something, it's coming from somewhere. It's never nothing, so, and it's that, and we have to be as true to that it is, and it's, you know, I like try to analyzing what the position of songs means in respects to our album and everything.
Yeah.
I'd say it's like, this is him, you know, look how he started. I am a giant, but I am me. And he makes a whole album trying to be as him as he possibly can.
Yeah.
And then he says, and he ends the album with, this is still me. I didn't give up being me, and I made this great album, which I think he believes he did, and I think it is a very good album. And he did it maintaining and being who he is and believing in his ancestors, which he always talks about. And his ancestors told him, be this, and it's him, and that's him speaking to the spirits, and he's being spiritual. And we are very spiritual people, and I feel that way. And the song is a vibe. If you listen to it loud in the car and headphones, you can't listen to that song and stay upset. Like, it changes your mood. It changes your mood. You feel better about yourself. You lighter. Your spirit is light. The ancestors like it. So yeah, I really do enjoy it.
Yeah. What are your favorite songs?
Favorite songs?
What is the Burna Boy you like? And there's all these versions of Burna Boy we get in the album.
Like we said, we talk about lyrics a lot. You know, we talk about lyrics. I don't think, especially because of the language barrier. So if there's a language barrier, I feel like if he made the music internationally and there's a magic barrier, maybe the most important thing for me is not the lyrics, or maybe not the totality of the lyrics. It could be part. You can get the message of something and not get the whole picture of something. I'm not living by his message. I'm not taking his creed, but I like what he's saying. I like the points he brings out. I like when he's not overly political. I like Dangote a lot because it's not a political song. It's just a cry to saying people, hey, we are who we are. We are Nigerians or we are Africans or whatever, and we can achieve. The benchmark exists and it's there, and we can beat that benchmark. I enjoy those songs. I love the party songs. I like African Giant. I think he can be diverse and I can appreciate it. What I like least is when he drifts not away from what he is, because it's not up to me to try to put parameters on what he can and can't be. But I think for certain things work, certain things don't work. And for me, what works is when I like more the African sound. I appreciate the Jamaican sound, but I like more the African sound more than old. It's just me. I wanna hear the African sound. I wanna hear what you can create with that African sound. Even when he talks differently, and then you can see he changes so much when he works with more American acts or like rappers, and say that he curses more in his songs, you know. And it's like it's not necessary, you know.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, so I'm like, you sacrificing the music. That's how I feel. So I like the more he goes towards Africa, modern or classic or anything, I'm down to it. I like what I want to see him experiment with it. I want to see him create new things, create this new genre. And he can be anywhere in the world. If he's representing Africa, he's representing us. So we are with him, and I am with him. I play his music, and I've been listening to him, and I've been listening to this album for a while. And I think the whole experience of listening to an album, which is important, to listen to an album to completion more than one time, makes you appreciate many things. I feel you can never judge an album by one listen.
Yeah, it's a
And
thing.
the days of today, it's hard, because like if you look at the number of albums that are released, it's so much music. That's why I sometimes decide not to listen to a lot of stuff. Because like if I'm not gonna give you the proper appreciation to it, I'm not gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
And when I play an album, sometimes I play an album just a whole week, just playing one album. Just keep listening to it. And songs that you at first listen you hate, by 5th, 10th listen, it's one of your favorite songs. And I feel that's what music is. So if that happens to you in an album, so how many songs have you listened to that you think you hate that you might actually come to love?
Yeah.
So I appreciate the opportunity that you get, like that this chance that we get to review this music, and it gave me a chance to really sit down and listen to the album, and I like most of the album. If I were to rate it out of 10, solid 8.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Eight's high, but I'll give him 8. It might go down a little. It might go down. I don't know if it'll go up.
Yeah.
But I think 8.
Okay, that's a high rating. And how do you think it compares to his? Do you think in his new album he did those things that you like, where he pays homage to like African music, modern and new, or did he go for more international sound?
Yeah, with like I said, I listened to his Twice as Soul first before listening to this, so I didn't have a perception or a picture of who he was. You know, I took it for face value. It was an album that I heard. I didn't particularly have plans to listen to his older work, but now I might. So I will review his work. I will review it again, and then my perception of his new album will change because of it.
Okay.
So at this moment, I want to go back and listen to it, because I did enjoy it. If I say I won't enjoy it, I didn't. I do think this is a better album, but I don't know if it's me listening to this now, but I will listen to them back to back, and then if I get a chance, I'll get back to you.
All right. Now, I think my sentiments are quite the same as yours. You know, I like this album. I think with him, it's a thing we spoke about. You know, he really manages to, unlike Davido and Wizkid, who I think make more party anthems. You know, he has a very good balance of art and commerciality. You know, he manages to balance both very well, and I think that's what I like. You know, I don't like when someone's too artistic, but I also don't like when someone's too commercial. You know, where it's like it's soulless, so it doesn't have enough layer in the music. There should be a little bit of layer, but you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. You know, like, cause I don't think I'd listen to like Angelique Kidjo. I'll try listen to it.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. Yeah, because I think I thought I wouldn't like Fela Kuti, but then I liked his music quite like a lot. I liked his music.
The aspects that I like about his music that I'm enjoying now, like I remember, I don't know, our father used to listen to when we were younger. There were like tapes and vinyl discs around the house of it, but and those music like that taste stayed with me like my whole life. And when I listen to it, this nostalgia comes up,
nostalgic
and then
feel, yeah.
So listening to him, like recently, like this week, it's just you feel it's different. There's an energy to his music, you know.
Yeah.
Even just
It's
the instrumental,
special.
the way it comes in, like I mean, So there is something special. I'll definitely go back to it because I listened just bits of it and I just got pulled to it.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely go back to it. And just two things. Popular things can be popular for a reason. Usually it could be because a person once did something great and they ride in that wave to the day. But sometimes it's because they're doing something great.
Yeah.
So that does exist as well. So we have to give space for that.
So you should always give someone a chance. Like if they're popular for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not like, because some people used to say like, no, pop music is bad.
You might not like the
People's taste is
reason.
bad.
you might not like the reason that made
Yeah.
them popular, but there usually is a reason.
Yeah, because I think people are very good evaluation of how good something is. A lot of times, like sometimes it might not be. Is that thing you said? They might be riding a wave, but like, if people are listening to it, you should also listen to it. You should like, okay, what is it about this person? And then you should always try and make your own judgment of someone instead of just, saying, I don't like it because it's pop music, or I don't like it because it's too artsy, or whatever. So it's that. So I think, Burna has a great balance of art and music. And yeah, man, he's just, I think it's special. And I think he definitely deserves the Grammy he got nominated for. And it's a big step, for pop music, African pop music, to be considered so highly, and for him to perform at Coachella even is just like a huge step. Some of it was obviously also marketing, because he relocated, and maybe working with the right people as well. And yeah, it's pretty good. I think the only issue with this album is like, reason why I wouldn't rate it that high is because maybe it's just not me being that into African music yet. Is like, I don't think I'm that keen on listening to another Burna Boy album. Like for me, it feels like this is his best work he'll ever do. For me, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm also not a big fan of his music in general, because I tried listening to his old songs and even his new songs, and it's a hit and miss a lot of times, most times it's a miss. I think only Yeah is the other song that I've heard of him that I really like. Yeah is a crazy song. Yeah. Yeah. This is the only other song I really like. So I think with me, I feel like he has his peak and he won't. But that's me. That's my perception. He has his peak and he won't get any higher. And I think if he maybe like sort of teased us a little bit more in the album, right? It's like Good Kid, Mad City, probably, right? Where it's like he teased you a lot of potential, but he didn't. But he hasn't reached that full potential. He can get better. It's like it's an album like there's those albums where you hear it's like you can tell like this guy is gonna get better than this.
Some kind of raw talent.
It's like this raw talent, and they haven't reached. There's an album that I'm listening to right now, and I can tell like, no, this artist is gonna get better right after this album.
The chicken's still roasting.
Huh?
The chicken's still roasting.
The chicken's still roasting. So, but with Burna, I feel like
he reached his peak.
I think he reached his peak. That's why I feel like this is the best work. He reached his peak, and that's the reason why I wouldn't rate this album as highly as I wanted to. I want to give it a 7, but then because the album is a good album, I think it deserves an 8. But I want to give it a 7, so maybe we'll give it a 7.5.
There's who Tim Ferriss is, right?
Yeah.
He says, if you really want to hear someone's honest opinion, ask them to rate something. Remove the 7. Because
I think I'll give it 8. If you remove the 7, let's give it 8.
Because the 7, do you know why they removed the 7?
7 is like it's not bad, it's not good.
Yeah, it's you make a decision because a 6 is bad. A 6 is bad.
But for me, a 6 is not that bad.
A 6
is like
what would you say a 5
it's
is?
above good, huh?
What would you say a 5 is?
5 is like an average. Like it's like
a 6
average.
There's still 4 points from the 6. It's still 4 points.
No, I think it also has to be depending on the way you rate things. It's like,
imagine there's 4 points from the 6.
Yeah.
And they're only 5 points below it. So it's like it's pretty
because
bad.
to me the way I rate albums with points, right? It's like 5 is like average.
It's not good. It's not bad.
It's not good. It's not bad. I could
But it's
hard,
bad.
but then
like,
but then it's
if
it's
I,
mostly
if I rate
bad.
an album 5, it's probably
It's
bad.
mostly bad. Like 5 means I had a hard time
like you have-
finishing listening to the
Out
album.
of 10 songs, you had like 2 good songs.
Yeah, it's like 2-3 good songs. Like, but I had a hard time finishing the album. A very hard time. 6 is like there's quite a few good
Just
songs. in
one
it.
more good song.
There's like no 5 there'll be like 2 good songs or 3. Maybe 2 yeah, 2 good songs. And then 6 there'll be like 3-4 good
I
songs.
actually think a 5 will be... but it'd be tough because a 5 is negative in music ratings.
Yeah, five is negative. It's like it's average because you never want to be average.
Yeah.
Average is like the worst, you know, because it's like
indifferent.
it's indifferent. Like you don't know what to feel. Like you don't want to hate it.
So you're telling me 1 point above that is a positive?
I think for me, the way I rate albums, like 6 is like there's a few good songs in it. Like maybe I didn't like it, but other people might like it.
Would you listen to an artist that produced a 6, his next album? Let's say
No, I only listen to the album. Like if that's the thing I was saying. Like for me, 7 is like it's good. Like it's good. You have good songs in it, but I don't want to listen to any more of your albums.
that's why it's safe. That's why it's safe because the thing is,
But it's a
Okay,
good no, but like
yeah.
it's a good like. But you do get artists like that where they do like this one. It's like this is a good work of art. This is a good piece of music.
yeah.
But then I don't want to listen to any more of his albums.
But it's
You know?
because of this album that you don't listen to him anymore, or because what you heard what came after it.
I think even this album as well. Like even if I didn't hear, I think I'll still. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was influenced by the other stuff I heard. But I think some artists you can just tell, like Daniel Caesar's album,
Yeah.
the Case Study 01, right? That's an album that I rated 8. I wanted to give it 7, but I gave it 8. The reason why I gave it 8 was because there was the potential. You know that like this guy's gonna get better than this. You know what album I'll give 7. You'll hate me for this. You'll really hate me for this. I'll give Blonde 7. Blood is a very like tough album for me. Like I don't know why, but like it's that thing. There's a great songs like Pink. The songs I like are like Pink and what's it? White and Pink with
Pink and
Beyonce. Pink and White. Siegfried was a really good song. There's a lot of really good songs in it. But I still want to listen to another. Maybe I'll give it 8 because I still want to listen. Because that'll give 8. That'll give 8. No, because I'm a fan.
With your point.
No, because I'm a fan of Frank
See
Ocean.
with your point.
So I feel like he will get better. He will. This potential. He was experimenting with a sound, and I know he's gonna do something else somewhere else. So with Burna Boy, it's like, but no. The thing is, it's like it's almost knowing an artist's tastes.
See,
Where you know, like, no, this guy has really good taste, and here he's just trying one idea. He's gonna try something else,
Yeah.
And then, like with Burna Boy, I know like his tastes are these. Like, I think it also depends on how coherent the album is. Like these things of like political love song, whatever. For me, that's a problem. Like Blonde doesn't have any of that. It's like it's an idea. Like it's one idea throughout.
Yeah, but I think
So that like the next album might be another idea.
Yeah.
Where here, if it was like it's a good kid, Mad City. Some people didn't like it, but it was one idea.
See, but
The next album is another idea.
But that style, I think that's more speaking to style than actually anything else. Not that the style is more style than substance. I'm not saying that, but it's
no, but it's
stylistic.
it's that thing that you said about albums. You see, it's like an album should be an idea. It shouldn't be here should be a political song. Here should be like
Yeah.
Because if you're making decisions like this, like having political songs and having love songs and having pop songs, that means your album's not ideas. It's just it's not coherent. It's a bunch of ideas. It's a collage.
Yeah.
It's like it's just ba 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 ba, whatever
A
works.
compilation.
It's a compilation. It's not an album. So with Burna, I think that's the criticism I should give with 7 albums, where it's like it's good music, but it's not an album. It's a compilation.
But is every 7 that you think you should rate 7 a compilation, and that what makes it 7 is because it's a compilation, or it's just the quality of the music?
I think compilation's a big point, or maybe sometimes, but it's a variety of things. It's like it's a compilation, or it's like a lack of coherent idea. I think that's the thing. Like the lack of like an artist who makes an album, but like without a coherent idea of what an album should be. Like it's an artist who I know, like this artist knows how to make an album.
Yeah.
Because you know this artist, like Drake. Perfect example, Drake.
I don't think Drake makes great album.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's Drake. Like he makes great songs, but he can't make a great. But for him to make a great album is tough.
I don't know if Drake makes great songs.
But he makes some great. I think he does.
He makes good songs for the moment. I think that he usually right, and then it's part of some criticisms that he does get is that he was ahead of the wave before. Now he's right behind it. You know what he does, someone has just released. Because before he was a pioneer of sounds.
Yeah.
But then he stopped being there to be someone that follows sounds, and that goes with him going to different cultures and then following rappers and stuff like that. But you know that we have to give space for outliers in everything we do. So like when we say this, we pigeonholing everyone into like one situation. But I believe there's this artist somewhere in the world that makes 10 great songs, but none of them have any connection with one another, and it's an album, right?
Yeah.
Would that make the album?
Happen,
yeah, but would that make the album bad?
But would you want to listen to his other albums?
Well,
if it's someone who just makes 10 great songs.
Don't we do that sometimes with playlists? Isn't that exactly what we do with playlists? When we create a playlist,
but that's a playlist. It's not an album.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not great. Okay, for example, if I tell you like I think you used to have that at times when like the great hits, like greatest hits of the year or something like that.
The greatest hits albums.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
People buy greatest hits albums.
Yeah.
Right. And
because a lot of times people just like individual songs.
Say, but it's like they get all the best songs from the best albums that they like. And they put that in the album and it sells. People want to listen to it. They want to listen so much that if you check on Apple Music, most artists with a number of albums have like a compilation album available to them, right? So that people want to listen to that. So I think it's an aspect of it. I think it's a style thing of what an album should be. Because if you say if we have a pre-definition what an album is, you limit creativity, right? And I think creativity is supposed to be let free. It is whatever it is. Of course, if you call it, if I have an album calling it Midnight Summer, I'm hoping it has something to do with midnights in summer. So, but yeah, and the songs are about that, or something leading to that, or around that, or something more creative than the simple basic words that lead to the point, to the sentence that I said. But that can be something different, and I think it has been something different. I feel like when all those things align, then you have a really amazing album. I think that should be said. When your songs are great, you have a coherent message or narrative throughout the whole album, and all that comes together in the sequencing of songs. For example, some sequencing of songs. I think it was Kanye West or somebody else, and the album just had great sequences. When he had the 7 songs thing, when he released all the albums, the rollout, I think it was Pusha T, him and Kid Cudi, Nas, they all had like 7 songs. The albums weren't that great, most of them. Pusha T's was really good, and it was just 7 songs, and the sequencing was amazing. You couldn't shuffle that album. You shuffle that album, you lose out. That's how
in the order.
Yeah, that's how deep it was, and then that's part of it. That alone doesn't make any album great, but that coupled with great songs, great collaborations, if you're gonna go that route, great songwriting and everything, and great messaging, everything speaking one language, I think that can make an amazing extraordinary album. Because everyone can have a critique about something or another, but when something works, and that's usually the most important indicator of anything.
Yeah, and I think that's true. If it works, it works. You can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because the thing is, sometimes we don't know how to define something that works.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, like you shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't. It should be a subconscious or like a mindset thing. Like you shouldn't tell yourself, no, I think this works. No, you should like feel it. You know.
Sometimes that's
be a feeling.
Sometimes you should question your own doubts. It's like
yeah.
maybe you don't know because you're not ready to know, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you're not mature enough to understand what actually happened here. But then sometimes we're too ready to give answers about things. But like sometimes it just works. Accept that it just works until you have better answers to it.
Yeah. And that's why I'm gonna listen to Blonde.
Seven.
In 2 years' time.
Slow. No, but it is more divisive than Channel Orange was.
Yeah.
That I would say. And
Because it's so different. It's very
but I think he did improve in
minimalist.
some aspect, and in some aspects as a musician. I would say I feel that.
yeah.
I feel Channel Orange is still. I still like Channel Orange more as an album, but because of, it just worked. It just worked everything. But I appreciate what Blonde is, and I've been listening to Blonde more recently, and it's aging well.
No, but that's the thing with Frank Ocean's music. It ages so well. Like Blonde. The thing with Blonde, I can go back to Blonde right now and listen to it and feel like
It just came out.
it just came out.
Yeah.
And like very, very, very few artists can do that. Like
Yeah, that's true.
that's only with music that's like, or art that you really took time to make. Like you really thought about it, and you really like put your all into it.
Yeah.
Because like most music doesn't age well now in the digital age. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to it soon. But yeah, thank you so much.
So it was a long one, huh?
It was a long one. I wanted to end it. I wanted to end with a quick question. Like, I think we might have answered. What do you think is the future of African music? Like a quick answer. We have talked about it, right? We have.
Yeah, in a sense, we've touched on it. But I think the possibilities are endless. But the possibilities to anything are endless. But
Yeah.
I would say, I think the movement is bigger. You have acts like Black Coffee having and someone that we forgot to mention throughout this podcast, but Black Coffee and what he's been doing, which is huge, and the recognition he gets, and the talent that he actually has, and all our other brothers and sisters just making working and being true to their roots, or at least their natures, and making it and putting an African name out there on people's lips, and people give Africans a chance in whatever it is. I think it's our opportunity to show up, you know, show up and be us, because we failed for many years trying to be someone else. We tried to be Americans, we tried to be anyone, we even try to be Jamaicans with point. But now we being Africans and everyone loves it. We dance in our way, we move in our way, we dress in again almost in our ways. So I think this is what I think we have a part of the limelight now. It's on us a bit. And yes, Burna Boy is not the biggest act in the world. He isn't. But he opened those for many other Africans. And the doors is the opportunities that we have is the platforms that we have available. You know, back in the day, it was to be you have to have a big record label and everything. Artists are restructuring who they are and recreating themselves to seeing that they don't need as much the help of the record label as they needed in the past, because they have the access through YouTube and social media, and everyone these are the great equalizers of the world, you know. Because you used to have the money to send your artists to different radio stations and whatever, but now the platform's the same. You just gotta have followers and people listening to your stuff, and it's daytime now, you know.
That's true. It's true. Not fact. I think it's our opportunity, especially when you see the Americans are coming to us. Beyonce's making stuff for African, trying to make African music. I think it started with Black Panther.
That was a big movement, yeah.
Because I think like Black Panther that's why I say Black Panther is such an important movie. Although
because the big thing with Americans for a long time was that they thought that their history as people started with slavery.
Yeah. And
more of them are learning that they had a history before slavery. There were people from different walks of Africa and different walks of life who have history that we, in some way or another, still carry. So those of us, the nations that in Africa that preserved their culture, are benefiting from it now.
Yeah, true.
So I think that's maybe a mistake that we are in our country made in not giving it the proper respect it deserves, and not respecting, not recognizing as we should. Those that did are definitely benefiting from it in a big way. So
That's true. It's true.
I think that's what that is. So the Americans now in the world, because black people are everywhere, and the roots do date back to Africa. So when you go back to Africa and you find a root that you see and that speaks to you, be it through your spirituality, ancestors, whatever, it makes you feel more complete as a person. And then you feel like, oh, I do belong to something greater than just suffering and bondage. So I think that's what it is, and they are appreciating and we benefiting from it because they are brothers and sisters, and we all unified by it, and it's just great, I just hope it continues, and I think it will.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. Thank you again for coming, for doing the show with me. We've been here for a while. I know it's been different today. Today's been cameras.
Yeah.
Posing for the cameras.
Posing with the hammers.
The hammers. Yeah, but yeah, it's been fun. And yeah.
No, it's been good. It's always good though.
No, thank you. So now I'm just gonna end the show off quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Hope it wasn't too long. Probably was, but next week we'll be doing another review of the Rosalia album called El Mar Querer. It's gonna be a really dope one. Super excited for that next week. We went from Africa this week. Next week we're going to the Latin American music. Although she's from Spain, but you know, sort of Latin music. So I can't wait to share that music with you guys. Meanwhile, stay safe, take it easy, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Ask me if I do this every day. I said often. Ask how many times she rode the wave. Not so often. Bitches down to do it either way.